Hello and welcome back to Vintage Disney here on Brian's Things That Are Cool. This year has been really bad, and there hasn't been a whole lot to be thankful for. But I figured I would go ahead and do a Thanksgiving episode anyway. Today we're going to be taking a look at the 1994 film SQUANTO A Warrior's Tale. Tisquantum, or Squanto, as he was nicknamed by the Plymouth governor, English Puritan separatist William Bradford, was a member of the Pawtuxet tribe in the early 17th century. Squanto acted as a liaison between his fellow Native Americans and the Mayflower Pilgrims who landed on the site of his former summer village. Squanto's tribe, the Pawtuxets, were wiped out by disease, and Squanto was the last of his kind. In 1614, John Smith led an expedition along the coast of Maine and Massachusetts Bay, collecting furs and fish. When Smith returned to England, he left Thomas Hunt in command of the second ship. Hunt was supposed to bring fish to Spain, as there was a market for dried fish, but he decided he would further enrich himself by adding human cargo to his shipment. Under the guise of trade, he lured 20 Pawtuxet Indians onto his ship and immediately enslaved them, one of these men being Squanto. Squanto was carried to Spain, where he was bought by local monks who educated him. Eventually he would travel to England and then back to the Americas, only to find, as stated before, that his tribe was now gone. Squanto settled the Pokanoket tribe in 1620 and worked to broker peaceable relations between the Pilgrims and the local Pokanokets. He taught the colonists how to grow crops, which was essential because the seeds which the Pilgrims had brought from England had failed. It was sometime between September and November of that year that the colonists and the Indians would celebrate a great harvest over the course of 3 days, with games, military exercises, and large feasts. The Pilgrims were also celebrating the fact that they survived a year in the New World, as many did not. In fact, most of the housewives that came over on the Mayflower had died, so cooking food for over 100 people probably fell to children, servants, and unmarried men. Many of the items we now consider part of our traditions weren't served the first Thanksgiving. For instance, potatoes simply weren't available. Neither was sweet cranberry sauce, and probably, most importantly, they dined on deer meat, not turkey. This festival of giving thanks would eventually become known as Thanksgiving, which President Lincoln would make a national holiday in 1863. On a trading expedition with William Bradford, Squanto became sick and died. The death affected Bradford greatly, who wrote of his friend's death. In this place, Tisquantum fell sick of Indian fever, bleeding much at the nose, which the Indians take as a symptom of death, and within a few days died there, desiring the governor to pray for him that he might go to the Englishman's God in heaven, and bequeathed sundry of things to English friends as remembrances of his love, of whom they had a great loss. There's a little bit more to the story, as there always is, but I tried to focus on the events that the movie covers. Let's sit back and see how the filmmakers did. Here is SQUANTO A Warrior's Tale. SQUANTO A Warrior's Tale from 1994 was directed by Xavier Collar and follows the story of the first contacts between Native Americans and early settlers from England. The movie is set just before and after the founding of the Plymouth colony in 1620, and the filming location of Nova Scotia stands in very nicely for early America. There are perhaps inaccuracies in how the English are portrayed, but for me, a film such as this gives you the basic story and hopefully inspires you to learn more. It's certainly not a documentary by any means. Adam Beach, a Native American actor who first came on my radar as having played Ira Hayes in Flags of Our Fathers, shines in the title role. Squanto has just married the love of his life, Nakuma. Shortly after the wedding, English ships are seen, and Squanto trusts the English wholeheartedly. And along with his friend Epinau, they board the ship to help unload furs. Well, it's a trap, and Squanto and Epinau and other members are whisked off to England to be sold as slaves. Eric Schweig makes his second appearance on my show, having played Injun Joe in Tom and Huck, and while the role of Epinau is a smaller role, he does well as Squanto's friend, who greatly distrusts the English. After being forced to fight a bear for the amusement of Sir George, Squanto escapes and is taken in by a monastery where the monks protect him. Brother Daniel, played by Mandy Patinkin, gives him a tour of the library and offers to teach him English, which somehow Squanto learns to speak perfectly, lightning quick. The rest of the monks take a liking to him as well, as they are introduced to moccasins and popcorn, Something seems a bit Hollywood about all this, but it's enjoyable even if it can get cheesy at times. Sir George, played by Michael Gambon, whose ships brought Squanto back from the new land, orders a manhunt to find the Indian he now considers his property. After evading his men, Squanto learns of a ship setting off for North America and jumps on board in an over-the-top but exciting chase scene. As anyone could tell from how the opening scenes between the two lovers were shot, when Squanto returns, he finds his entire tribe and his wife have died from diseases brought by the English. And so he joins the Pokanoket tribe, just as an English ship lands. After some fighting and suspicion from both sides, they decide to lay down their arms and come together. They learn from each other, and as the film closes, they hold the first Thanksgiving. Squanto, A Warrior's Tale is an idealized history, to be sure, but we are given great performances, costume design, and a film that blends drama and action-adventure quite well. If you're looking for the absolute truth, you're not going to find it here. But if you're looking for an uplifting film that teaches the value of treating people with dignity, the value of freedom, and the value of humanity, Squanto, A Warrior's Tale is one to check out. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed my review of Squanto, A Warrior's Tale. I'm Brian. Don't eat too much turkey, and happy Thanksgiving to all.